be exactly what you want to be without all of the fear around you. We have to stand up together.
Welcome to another episode of the Chairman Project podcast with Jason Sisneros, your humble host. And we are back for another week, and it's live on Twitter. If you ever want to join us live, our movement, our tribe is growing by leaps and bounds, and we'd love to get together live on Twitter, or as it's known now, x.com. And it's at the J Sisneros. You can always find us there. Great group of people dedicated to taking their business to the next level. And we have great conversations. We have question and answer at the end of it. We don't get to participate in that here on the podcast that you're seeing, where you're seeing this on Spotify, YouTube, all the other places. And you can always go to the replay on X and listen all the way through and hear the Q&A at the end. But welcome back to another episode. Just to let everybody know, there is a major rebranding going on with my organization. And we're going to be rolling that out over the next couple of weeks. I think probably in about 2 weeks, we'll have everything ready to go. I may wait 3 weeks just to make sure that all of the branding comes together. But those of you that are used to the branding around growthcourse.com and the Chairman Project podcast, we're going to be consolidating around the title of my new book and all of these systems fitting into one thing. It's interesting because today's episode is focused around the idea of eliminating decision fatigue. And there's been a lot, and I use myself as an example. I'm still in the game. Back in 2019, those of you who don't know the history, I sold my companies, and we kept Anton J, which is my consulting company. It's going on 12 or 13 years old now at this point, and a few other companies that I kept. But we really started to look at what was the fight, right? Those of you that know me, all of you that are here, really, we're fighters, right? And we have to have a battle. That's the nature of being a SME, small to mid-size enterprise that is our community, business owners. We're always looking for that next fight. I mean, we may not verbalize it like that sometimes, but we're looking for that next challenge. For those of you that like a little bit of lighter language, we're looking for that next challenge. And my journey was I sold. Obviously, I deep in the fight against child trafficking. I belong to an organization called CERT Ministries, slavefreeproject.com, if you guys want to check out the work that we do there. But that is an overt rescue of kids that are being trafficked in the sex trade. I've belonged to that now for about 5 years. I've been in that fight and rescuing kids for a little bit over 8 years now. And so as I was looking at what kind of fight I wanted to get into, it was the fight for what has become my family. And we've had this conversation over the course of the last couple of years together, whether that was podcasts or old platforms that we used to do this on. But we've all gathered together around an idea. And that idea is that we have to come together as a family. We have to come together as a community in the small and medium-sized enterprise. We got attacked, right? What was that attack? For those of you that don't remember, we got called non-essential. We got called non-essential back during 2020. You guys all shut down. We'll go ahead and keep the big businesses open. And by the way, while we pass those laws, we're going to go ahead and participate in buying the stock and getting rich and all that kind of stuff. That was a shot at us directly. And we've woken up as a group to realize that we need each other or we will be eliminated, right? And again, that sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but if you look at it, we do 60% of the GDP. That is a decentralized way of keeping us all free. Like we are all part of each other. Every single business owner, every single business that exists, 33 million of them in the United States alone. I know I've got a growing foreign group of people that are now watching, but here in the United States, that's 33 million of us that produce 60% of the GDP. That's not small. Right? Of a $27 trillion economy, 60% of that's not small, but we haven't figured out how to come together. That's what this movement is all about. It's about educating. It's about learning new tactics. It's about coming together around each other. It's about doing business with each other. And it really is coalescing. That message is coalescing. And that's the fight that I decided to want to get into. As I was figuring out what direction that I wanted to go. And so here we are, this Chairman Project podcast. Everything is going to be rebranding under the built to exit.biz. If you want to go there, throw in your email address and you can keep up to date. We do send out every single week. We send out the show notes that I use to prepare these shows. You have the edited podcast. In video form. There's some other notifications where I'm going to be speaking, all those kind of things that are in that newsletter that we send out to the built to exit.biz. So I want to take a minute, just a second here, because so many new listeners and people that are, because of the core group here that has been sharing and sending this message out, I want to take just a couple of seconds to clarify what this movement, what this community is all about, and who I particularly serve, right? And I already mentioned it a little bit earlier, which is it is business owners. This is the community that I serve, right? Business owners. Now, all business owners, any type of business that you have, in that 33 million person owner group called SMEs. And all that means is it's 0 to 499 employees. That's all of us. Okay. I know that there is about 27 million of us, of those companies that don't have any employees. And you need to know, one of the things that I fight against, it's like anti-guru stuff that we talk about here. And one of the things that I get irritated with is the information that we get. A lot of everybody that's listening has bought something and you're like, well, that shit didn't help. or I went to that seminar and I got super pumped up, but I didn't get any actionable skills. And you hear that story. If 27 million companies that are out there have 0 employees and those businesses average less than $100,000 a year, well, we shouldn't be talking to 27 million businesses. And by the way, the failure rate is 95%, right? 95%. And so we shouldn't be talking to 27 million companies about going from where they are to 10 million, to 50 million, to 100 million, to whatever it is, because that's a bullshit conversation. If we're going to help grow our organism, our community, then we have to get real about numbers. And so those of you that are listening that have 0 employees and you have, your sole proprietorship and you're looking to take your game to the next level, this podcast is exactly where you need to be. We talk about the steps that can take you from 100,000 to 300,000, right? That should be your goal. That should be your next target. If you have 0 employees, you got $100,000 or less in total yearly revenue, your first goal should be get to 300,000, right? And then if you are that next level between 300,000, you're at 300,000, your next goal should be 750,000. And learning the skill sets to be able to attach those things together to be able to take your game to the next level. 750,000, your next target should be $1 million, $1.5 million, right? There's things that you need to know. There's tactics and approaches that are different within each one of those advancements. And when you buy some program that's going to tell you, well, be a billionaire. I mean, I cannot tell you how full my desk is of people that want me to invest in their companies. And all of them say, we're going to be $1 billion, right? And then they give me some bullshit financials that show that they're going to get super paid, right? They're going to get super paid by other people's money while they try to grow this entity. to $1 billion because it's a game changer. It's the Uber of this industry. These are the things that you learn. That's not the conversation that we have here. Wherever you are in your business, you should look for that next branch, that next step up for you, and to make it a reasonable. Now, I know unreasonable being in business. Let's set the standard. Everybody's like, "Oh, the world doesn't change by reasonable people." Okay, but it does change. It doesn't change by unreasonable people who have delusional objectives, right? So we got to keep those stair steps. I want you to be unreasonable, but you being a business owner in the first place is freaking unreasonable. You look at it, 95% of the people fail. There's only 33 million of us in the United States, right? There's a lot of us around the world, but we're a unique group of people. And so it's already unreasonable. You owning a business is a blatant act of rebellion. A rebellion against being controlled, a rebellion against somebody telling you how to live your life, a rebellion for you to say, regardless of the actions, the truth of the fact that I'm playing a game that 95% of people fail at, I'm going to do that anyway because I'd rather die free, right, than live on my knees. Right? There's a saying, right? I'd rather live on my feet or die on my feet than live on my knees. And that's the same exact. That's the spirit of everybody that listens. That's the spirit of everybody that joins me. That's the spirit of the people that have joined this community, this built to exit community, because that's the fight we're in. You're already unreasonable. Don't become delusional in your expectations of what you can do with your business in 90 days, in a year, in 2 or 3 years, right? Don't be delusional. Be practical, because then you can build actual systems and processes to be able to help you predictably advance. And that's what we talk about here every single week, okay? And so that's who I serve. The people that are new to this podcast, new to this community, new to the built to exit systems, this is who I serve. I build and create 5%ers. I train and build and create 5% businesses. The 5% that live to see beyond a decade, that can sell. Less than 7% of companies that ever get sold, that get put on the market, ever sell. We help those companies get to that place. We help people build to exit. What does exit mean? We've got several definitions. We've got the first exit is getting out of chaos and getting into calm, right? Just getting out of that chaos of, oh my gosh, I got a month-to-month business. Well, okay, let's go from that chaos to get some systems in place. Let's put a little bit of money in the bank. Let's make sure that you have three months worth of cash reserves. Let's make sure that you can see beyond the fact that when the first of the next month goes, you don't just go, oh, I got to do this all over again. We get you out of chaos and into calm. That's the first kind of exit. You got to get out of chaos. The second kind of exit is where you go into from obligated to optional. You now can take a vacation. You now can stop working 18 hours and you've reduced that to 8-hour days, right? You go from obligated to optional. You're not obligated to be there every single moment of every single day, making every single decision. So it becomes a little bit more optional. You being there becomes a little bit more optional. The third type, which is the goal and should be the goal, as I spoke to a young lady yesterday, she said, Jason, so many of us that are in business, we can't even conceptualize the idea of exiting our business. And I said, I know, I get that, but if you know that the target is for you to exit, if you know that your goal, the end game of building a machine, if you even know that you should be building a machine and the outcome of that machine should be creating an end game that gives you economic freedom and multiple choices in your life that you don't have yet, then you know and you can start to target those decisions to a specific outcome. Instead of making dumb decisions like buying a fancy car that you can't afford, living in a house that you can't afford, to try to impress people on Instagram that don't like you and you're trying to sell and pitch your stuff to, right? And so keeping focus, knowing that that's the end game, it doesn't mean that you can see that right now because you're at that $100,000 mark or that $300,000 mark, or you're at a couple of million with your first employee. Whatever situation you find yourself in, you're my people. Okay. So as we look towards that outcome, that third one is total time control. It's a place where you've built a machine that now you can leave and go start another business, start a charity, or go sail the 7 seas with your significant other, right? That's total time control. And then the fourth one is where you sell the business. And there's a couple of ways to do that, right? There is this magic thing that's called harvesting your wealth. And that is a whole other level to the game. And that's where, again, that's part of the 5% game. Everybody wonders, oh, I wonder what's going on. You know, why are these companies special? Why are they doing it? Like all of these questions. And that's where Scott Arden comes in and Ruben comes in and different key people come in so that you can harvest and protect your wealth. And there's a magic number, you know, that gets it. When you can get your company or your group of companies producing or having an EBITDA, again, some of you are going to have to research what that means, of $5 million, and you've got your entities creating $10 million, there's a whole other world that opens up to you, which is why once you get past that 5, 6, 7 year mark, that those companies go on to succeed for 20, 30, for generations. Or they sell, and that harvest of the wealth that goes back to the person who created this, that followed systems, that built, that creates a freedom, not just for you, but for generations after you. And it allows the money to be in your hands to make decisions about important subjects. You could donate or start a charity. You can donate or give to a political idea that you hold true. You can run for political office. It creates this freedom for you to be able to have a bigger impact and progress in your own life. Okay? And that's really all life is about. And that's what we talk about here is the ideas that help you take one more step forward. Joy and happiness. I've heard it from Tony Robbins. I've heard it from every philosopher that joy and happiness exist in progress, right? And that progress, if you choose to be a servant in your business, in your life, then that progress is always available to you when you're trying to take your game to the next level. Okay, so that's who I serve. I serve the business community. There's a lot of people that listen to this that are thinking about a business or they're in somebody else's business and they want to learn the skills and techniques. I love that. I love that you're here. I love that you're listening. But who I'm talking to every single week after week, is business owners, the SMEs of the world. And what I admire about this group is the absolute commitment to progress, the absolute commitment to overcoming fears, the absolute commitment. We're very unique. We're unique in the world. And so that, and that's what I admire. I admire that spirit of never giving up. I admire that spirit of over and over and over on getting up despite the odds, despite the fact that you're playing this game that 95% of people fail at. That you come around each other, that you serve each other, that even with your little bit of excess that you may have created in your business, that you decide to support veterans or child trafficking or homelessness or food disparity or pets or whatever it is that you do. This community of 33 million people are the most giving people on the planet. Period. End of sentence. And why I serve this community is very important to me. Why I serve this community is important to me because without small and medium-sized companies, we will perish. Our ability to choose, our freedom, and our ability to be free will be eliminated if our group of people, if that 33 million people doesn't learn how to not fail at a 95% rate. We could bring that down to 94, 93, 92, 91. And every single time we bring that notch down, that means that another family is being able to take care of themselves, the people that work for them, their community, their churches, their synagogues, their whatever it is that they're participating in. That's why I serve this community. It's a fight. It's a rebellion against a world that is structured to want to control you. That's why I serve this community. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has helped hundreds of clients and thousands of growth course students fix, scale, and successfully master their businesses. To put it simply, my team and I help people turn their businesses into machines that create cash. To better support startups and other mid-sized companies, my team and I developed a phenomenal and comprehensive digital growth course where I poured decades of business ownership and know-how into 20 hours of content. This course is not easy. It's not an easy pill, but demands real work from you to implement the blueprints that I've developed. We know that reaching financial freedom is never easy, but totally worth it. Go to growthcourse.com right now to learn more about the course and get started on your business journey today. And so week to week, we've come up with a different subject. This week's subject happens to be decision-making fatigue. And I'm going to start doing a little challenge with myself week to week. And my challenge is going to be, I'm going to ask some questions because obviously everybody that's out there knows that there's this big AI, everybody should be on AI. It's now, you can tell people that were umming and ahhing and they had spelling errors and punctuation errors and they couldn't really describe what they were doing. And now all of a sudden they have eloquent sales copy. and you know damn good and well that that's not coming from them. It's a world of AI, which means that it's a world of copycats, which is kind of the way that the world already was. But now the copycats have better punctuation, better spelling, better sales copy, all that other kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that the core of a business, which is to help your business only exists to help people make money, help them save money, or measurably improve the quality of their life. That copy's not going to help you do that. The wonderful advertising and marketing that you're doing is not going to help you do that. That is how an SME survives and then thrives, is by having an impact, falling in love with the outcome of your client, falling in love with the outcome of your employees, and then delivering like a mofo on the promise that your marketing and advertising said. You know, it throws in a big loop. It throws in a big loop when you make a promise with your sales and marketing and you don't deliver on the promise. It throws it in a big loop. And you wonder, so many people wonder why am I making less than 100,000? Why is my business struggling? It's because you spend an inordinate amount of time doing things to promote your business in places that your business, that your customer, your target audience doesn't exist, saying shit that isn't true about what you do for a living. That's the truth of it. So equal parts, sales and marketing is absolutely critical. Social media is absolutely a critical part of it. But if you spend more time on your operations, which is the delivery on the promise, more time learning what your finances are telling you, which is the language your business speaks, and more time in your culture and making sure that you guarantee predictably what your experience your customers are going to have with you week to week, day to day, year to year, you'd be in a much better position. That's what 5%ers do, by the way, right? That's what 5%ers do. It's strategic. And we're going to get to that. So this week, what I did was I challenged myself. I said, okay, I just sit down and I write. Whenever I come up with a concept, I sit down and I write what I want to talk about and what the conclusions are and that kind of stuff. So I put the question in that I put into my mind, right? The power of the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of the questions that you can ask yourself. And I've been writing these things with no help from AI, from no help. It just comes out of my brain and from my experience. So I decided I'm going to do a little challenge week to week now. I'm going to put in what I'm talking about, and I'm going to see what Chat GPT comes up with. And then, and before I do that, I'm going to write what my conclusions would be. So I came up with 3 conclusions to decision-making fatigue, and Chat GPT came up with 5 solutions to decision-making fatigue. So I'll let you be the judge of which which suggestions are better when we get to the end of this. But let's get into the actual subject matter, and let's talk about it for just a second, okay? All right, so decision-making fatigue, what is it? Those of you that are listening, you absolutely know what decision-making fatigue is. Everything that I just said. Let's just take the core four that we teach about, with the built to exit systems. The core four are your sales and marketing. That's number one. Number two is your operations. Number three is your finance, and number four is your culture. So just in those areas alone, how many decisions do you have to make, especially if you are the sole decision maker? Especially if you haven't learned that to be a 5%er, you need to build systems and processes that become an asset. Okay. And let me I'll do this every week because I know that I get questions. Hey, what was an asset again? An asset is a combination of people, technology, systems, and measurement that are written out and create a predictable outcome that does not require the input of the owner anymore. Okay. That is what an asset is. If you don't have assets, if you haven't built predictable assets, predictable, repeatable systems and processes in those four areas, you are not going to be part of the 5%. You're going to be part of the 95% that will struggle until you go out of business. You must have assets. It's an identifier of every single company that makes it beyond that 10-year mark is that they know how to build, and they do build assets. Right? Repeatable processes, repeatable, written down, that include people, technology, systems, and measurement. Okay, so that's really the decision making that we have to make over and over and over again is us. We get exhausted with it. It's like, why? I got to make phone calls. I got the end of the month's coming up. I got to collect the money that people owed me from last month, and I got to get geared up to do another 30 days of sales. Right? You got to get out of that loop. You got to get off of that hamster wheel by building processes and procedures inside of your organization. Okay. So 5 ways. Here's a few ways let's talk about the dangers of decision fatigue in the first place. And then I'll give you a few examples out of history. What they do, the 5 dangers are that they reduce your decision quality. Right? Fatigue sets in, the quality of your decisions typically declines, and potentially it leads to poor business. It's not potentially, it's actually certain that you're going to make worse decisions when you are under the pressure of decision-making fatigue. You're like, man, do I have to be the one? Yes, you have to be the one. And the best way for you to not have decision-making fatigue is to realize that that's the name of it, and then to be able to build systems and processes that predictably deal with the answers, with the systems and the processes, or the challenges that predictably and repeatedly come to the forefront in your business. Okay, so here's the other danger is that impulsivity. If you guys can identify with this, if you're watching this on replay, or if you're with me live today, if you can identify with the fact that impulsivity increases because you're fatigued with how many decisions you have to make, raise your hand, right? That's me in there. Impulsivity, like, well, screw it. I'm going to eat terrible food. I'm going to drink some alcohol because that's the only way that I can reduce my stress. I'm going to ignore everything and start binge watching on Netflix. There's all kinds of impulsivity that comes up. That's a danger. The third one, and I see this all the time, y'all. I see this all the time, is there's a risk of burnout. And burnout is just simply, I just get to a place where I'm trying, this is where I got in my businesses, by the way. And those of you that have listened to me for more than a month know that I crashed 3 businesses in a row. And it was because of these exact 5 dangers of I was making bad decisions, my impulsivity, I was drinking like a fish because my stress levels were so high. I burned out. I burned out. There was just days where I'm like, screw it. I'm staying in bed today. I cannot deal with this shit anymore. I started having panic attacks. I started, there was a lot of results from decision-making fatigue because it wasn't attached to a system. So lowered productivity is obvious. The more decisions that you have weighing on you, or that you're delaying, or that you're making bad ones, or that you're buying some easy pill system or not even a system, but some book or seminar or make you feel good stuff out there, your productivity is going to drop, which then is going to compromise your leadership. So those 5 areas, when you get overwhelmed with decision fatigue, reduced decision quality, impulsivity increases, burnout, lower productivity, and compromised leadership, that's everything. And eventually, because it's unsustainable, that is why people go out of business. We know the top 3: not enough money, right? No management skills. You haven't learned how to manage. And then the third one is you put out a product or service that nobody wants or needs. Those are the 3 reasons. But inside of that, if you don't build systems and processes, if you don't systemize your business to be able to make decisions automatically, it wears you out. It wears you out. Now, if you get rid of those, what are the benefits, right? Those of you that know people that operate on systems, they've figured out this next step. A lot of you that have gone through the growth course, and you're graduates of the growth course, or you're people that are part of the 5%ers that came through my consulting company, Anton J. You understand the benefits. Your decision making goes up because you have distance between you and the wolves. Your efficiency goes up, which means you become more profitable because you're making better decisions and you have processes and procedures in place. Workplace morale goes through the roof because you have a culture built on purpose. And then you have strength in leadership. People view you as somebody that they can trust to follow. I'm going to say that last piece again. You become somebody that has a track record of success that people feel confident that they can follow. Repeated over and over and over again. And you don't get rewarded for this, by the way, in public very often. You are doing these things over and over and over again. Your systems, your processes, your consistency over time, while you see other people partying, or you're watching people on Instagram drive cars that you know damn good and well that they can't afford, or they fooled you into thinking that they can afford, living in houses and doing all the shit and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, you're just plugging away, doing what's necessary, making the right decisions, knowing and understanding that the pull and the allure of bullshit that is out there in the world is rampant. It's rampant. And so instead, you do the right things, chuggity, chuggity, chug. Like you're just that consistent over and over, making the right decisions, doing the things that you know you need to do, and not getting rewarded for it because you know that ultimately you're working for your own reward. What is that reward? It's freedom. It's financial freedom, not having to be able to worry, not having to look over your shoulder, not having any debt, knowing that you can't lose the stuff that you have, knowing that you're giving to the things that you care about, and knowing and understanding that that is a 5%er strategy, that you are part of the 5%. And that creates a freedom from decision-making fatigue. That's strength in leadership. That's where you get it, right? And you guys know I love history. And so I went looking for examples of decision-making fatigue. And I come back to Napoleon over and over and over again, because what an amazing leader who made massive mistakes. And as I was reading through some of his story in preparation for this podcast, it just reminded me, right? His fatigue at splitting forces and make it not taking input and all of the stuff that we know as a business owner, that he was just overwhelmed. And then he got sick. There's real results from not dealing with putting processes and procedures and systems into your business. It affects your health. It affects your relationships, your decision making. It affects so many areas of your life if you don't deal with this. So anyway, his fatigue exacerbated by his physical ailment. It led to poor strategic decisions that resulted in his defeat. This always results in defeat. Always. Predictably. JFK, if anybody does any research about the Bay of Pigs invasion, right? That 100%, all of the things that were going on all at once, that decision-making fatigue, not having systems in place, not having the right leadership in place, it led to a flawed execution and planning of the invasion. And it resulted in a massive failure for the United States. And JFK, it's a stain that's on JFK's record. The Japanese leadership before Hiroshima, right? Before we drop the bomb, there's, again, if you get into the place where you understand history, there was an opportunity for Japan. I'm not saying this is not a judgment of whether we should not have dropped a bomb, all of those kind of things, but there was an opportunity for the Japanese military to know that they were defeated before that. And if you read through some of the historical documents, the Japanese high command, they had decision fatigue. It was in the actual research that I did. Decision fatigue after prolonged warfare, it clouded their judgment, delayed surrender, and it led to obviously catastrophic consequences. Defeat. Okay? Defeat. They were already defeated. So then you go through history and you think, okay, well, what about the opposite side? Right? You think about D-Day. For America, this is a big day, right? Dwight Eisenhower on D-Day, clear decision-making, under immense pressure with a plan, a system that he executed, and it led to a successful invasion and the eventual victory of World War II. Clear decision-making, a clear plan, clear execution with really great people involved, with a culture that inspired people to just jump off of those boats. And you knew that you had a high level of possibility of getting shot in the water as you came off those boats. But there was a culture saying, we are fighting evil. We're gonna defeat evil. The culture of the people, the decision-making, the planning, the execution, the dedication, the stick-to-itiveness, all of that led to a very successful D-Day. Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War, he delegated, prioritized, and it helped preserve his decision-making clarity. If you read through his books and his contemplative nature, which you should have as a business owner, contemplative, time to think through options, time to think through ramifications. And he guided this country to unification and he guided the North to the victory during a very, very dark, challenging period. Winston Churchill during World War II, rigorous routines. Again, those of you there's a lot of characterization or caricaturization of Winston Churchill, but he had rigorous routines. He delegated. And it kept him laser sharp on the outcome, and he inspired an entire nation to rise to the occasion. He brought America into the fight when we didn't want to be, right? When we originally didn't. There were so many things throughout history that show that if you have a system, you have a process, you stick to it, you wipe away numerous distractions in your life, and you hyper-focus, that makes you a 5%er. So I looked at, through business, Blockbuster always comes up, right? Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for a tiny amount of money. But they had decision fatigue. Why? Because they were like, we're going to keep everything open. It's always going to be VHS. It's always going to be around. Right? And they had poor leadership. They had poor execution. They had poor systems in place that made a monumental mistake. We all know about Kodak and the digital photography, right? Yahoo. You want to talk about, again, you've got to read deeper into what happens. There are clues after clues after clues in historical successes and failures that if you read about them, you'll be like, oh, There is a system, there is a blueprint that shows up that tells us what not to do. Success leaves clues and failure leaves clues. You've heard that a million times. It's a fortune cookie wisdom statement. But in order to pick up the clues, you got to be looking. My wife and I, one of our favorite things to do together is to do escape rooms. And you got to constantly be on the scan. It's like our business. It's like our business strategy and training while we're not actually doing business. It allows our brains to get away from business for a little while, but we use the same strategies. Her and I are a team. She takes one part of the room. I take the other part of the room. We crush those rooms because of proper decision making and systems and processes for us to be able to do that. Right? Some successful Apple product. What did they do? Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997. He reduced the number of products from dozens to just a few. He focused on high quality, profitable products. The decision making eliminated confusion and decision fatigue, setting the stage for Apple's future success. How many products or services do you offer? When do you have, every time you have a new idea, is that completely changing? Are you adding a new product? Are you adding a new service? That's not what 5%ers do. They reduce the amount of things that they do and they increase the quality of that product. Every single product in Apple, the phone and the computer and all of the things, those are all assets. Why? Technology, people, process, and a measurable and measurement that created predictable outcomes. You're starting to see the rhythm. You're starting to see the pattern. You've got to become experts at building assets. Are you a business owner that's looking to build your company into a machine that creates cash? I'm Jason Sisneros, chairman and founder of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has turned around, merged, or prepped for sale hundreds of companies just like yours. I'm best known as the architect when it comes to fixing and building companies across the globe. My experience comes from owning and exiting over 20 of my own companies successfully. It's that real-world experience that I've converted into the ultimate blueprint that has saved and grown my clients' businesses. If you're tired of getting bad advice, have bought all the books, all the coaching programs, and still aren't seeing the success that you were promised, it might be time to work with a team that has actual experience and a track record of success. Please scan the QR code or visit antonj.com to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if we can help you reach your outcomes. That's antonj.com, ANTONJAE.com. Google, 20% time policy. Not a big fan of Google, but Toyota, on the other hand, Toyota's implementation of Kanban, Kanban system. Do some reading, you'll understand what I mean. But the Toyota's use of Kanban system streamlined production and reduced unnecessary decision-making in their manufacturing process. The approach helped in managing decision fatigue by limiting work in progress and focusing on efficiency. And those of you that know that Toyota, Honda, because of this exact system and process and conversation we're having, kicks American, the American manufacturers of vehicles, they kick our ass. And there was a period of time when America sat on top with the big three. That doesn't exist anymore. And it's because of getting rid of decision-making fatigue. So here's where we're gonna go. Okay. Now this is ChatGPT versus Jason Sisneros. We're gonna get into how you utilize and what the outcomes. What should you do? So we're gonna go with ChatGPT first. We're gonna give you guys have to weigh in today and tell me who wins, ChatGPT or Jason Sisneros. Okay. So here's the vague, and I'm gonna try not to influence your thought processes. I'm not going to try to weigh in and make you like me more than ChatGPT. So I'll just go ahead and read it. All right. So here's what ChatGPT came up as a solution. Top 5 ways to eliminate decision fatigue for business owners. Number 1, prioritize tasks. Not saying that these are not valuable, by the way. You should write them down because they are. But prioritize tasks. But the reason, let me tell you why. I guess I am going to influence conversation. Let me tell you why prioritizing tasks is important, but it must be in a larger system. Because otherwise, what you end up with is a to-do list every single day that requires you to do it. If you prioritize tasks, which is 100% naturally, like that makes total sense. It's not, when you hear that, you go, of course I got to prioritize tasks, but it's how you do it and where in the sequence that you do it. And then how does it get delegated, systemized, so that those tasks aren't repeated over and over and over again? That's how you run a month-to-month business, by the way. That's not how you get to the 5%. When you think of Apple and all the success they had, what was Steve Jobs trying to figure out how, every single day that he should prioritize? Oh, we got to work on our marketing. Oh, I have to figure out how we're going to repeat this thing in the process. How are we going to put these machines together? Blah, blah, blah. No. He figured out processes, procedures. He put people, technology, systems, and measurement in place to be able to get a repeatable outcome without his input. Okay, so prioritize tasks, yes, but where in the interconnectedness and the sequencing does it go in your building of assets? Number 2, limit your choices. That's okay, great. You limit your choices. This is ChatGPT telling you need to limit your choices. I agree, but how? How do you do that? What choices are you going to get rid of and what choices are you going to keep? Where in the system? What do you get rid of? Are you going to get rid of your choices because you don't like finance? Are you just going to do what most business owners do and run your business by saying, there's some money in the bank account. Hope there's no money in the bank account, which is what most people do. They limit the choices that they must figure out how to think through, how to build systems, how to build processes for themselves and their organization. Not just limiting choices and saying, I'm going to stop thinking about that. Where is it in the system and process? Establish routines. Again, fairly obvious. You create structured daily routines. Where in the system and how does it become repeatable and then also duplicatable for the people that work for you? Delegate responsibilities. Big one. I love that one. Totally agree with it. Delegate versus abdicate. Most people abdicate. I don't like doing this, so I'm going to hire my cousin. I know a guy hiring, or my nephew, or my brother, or my whatever, and we grab them and we go, you're going to do the bookkeeping because I don't like doing it. And that is not delegation, that is abdication. Delegation is a specific process that we teach in the growth course, right? That teaches you how to actually delegate. You got to know the core of what the problem is. You got to understand it. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to read 15 million books. You just have to understand, do enough research so that you understand the nature of finance, so that you understand the nature of operations, so that you understand the nature of sales and marketing, so that you understand the nature of culture. Enough to be able to delegate and say, here's the outcome I expect. Here's the 4 or 5 steps that I would take. Now you do it. I'm going to measure how you do it. And if you can improve on that product or that process, good. That's your job. Do the things that I tell you to do and improve on that process so our outcome becomes more and more predictable. Okay. And then the 5th one that they give us is schedule breaks. This one I love. Telling a business owner, we're addicted to activity. Okay. We're addicted, but schedule breaks. Wonderful idea, but how many of you feel like that's something that you're great at, is scheduling in time off, scheduling in 15-minute breaks? We don't do that. That's why we're business owners. Employees look for their 15-minute smoke break, their 30-minute lunch, their 15-minute smoke break. They get off at 5, they punch out at 5 o'clock, they punch in at 8 o'clock, right? They have a scheduled amount of that's employee mentality. But again, in the systemization, in your growth to being a 5%, you do have to create space to think, innovate, build systems, build processes, figure out which technology you're going to use, what people you need to put in the process, what people you need to take out of the process, what culture do you need to build. Scheduling breaks for break's sake is not something that I think is a good solution or suggestion for business owners, because we're not built that way. Okay. But that's ChatGPT. Prioritize tasks, limit choices, establish routines, delegate responsibilities, and schedule breaks. Love it. Okay. Great. Where is it placed? So here's what I came up with. And then we're going to wrap this up and go to question and answer the live with everybody on Twitter. But here's what I came up with. And this will sound familiar to some of you that have been following me for a while. Okay. Number one, how do you get rid of decision-making fatigue by Jason Sisneros, GPT? Number one, clear, precise, and measurable outcome. If you don't have that, you don't know where you're going. It's the destination. Those of you that have heard me tell the Lego story, it's the picture on the box. What am I building? Number one, clear, precise, and measurable outcome / destination. Why are you building this? Where are you going? What kind of money do you need to create your freedom? What does the picture on the Lego box? I'm going through this seriously, I've been going through this since October of last year, when I was convinced that I had to make a decision to consolidate brands and to come up with something that everybody could consume in an easier way to make sure that they get the brilliance of what I do to move people into the 5%. And I had to go through this. I had to get crystal clear. And it's only recently that we were able to do that. And then I was able to create the brand. The name was easy. The brand, the colors, the taglines, all the stuff that goes along with branding, which will be done here in the next couple of weeks. I can't wait to roll it out for Built to Exit. But I had to be clear and I had to be precise. And I couldn't do that just by snapping my fingers and taking a shot at it. I know this. I've been doing this for years and years and years. I'm building for what's going to exist in Built to Exit 5 years from now. I'm not building it just to go, oh, let's get something out there. Let's blah, blah, blah. The typical thing for entrepreneurs, which is we're told you jump off the cliff and you build the airplane on the way down. What a dumb waste of time, energy, effort, execution, money, resources, reputation, all that. What a dumb way to do business. I understand the analogy, but when you jump off a cliff and you build the airplane on the way down, and you don't know how to build an airplane, you die. 95% of the people that are jumping off the cliff and building an airplane on the way down die in business. They smack down at the bottom and they are crushed and they don't exist anymore. So stop jumping off cliffs until you at least have a freaking glider. Until you at least have something that will catch the air, a parachute at least. So clear, precise, and measurable outcome and destination. It's the picture on the Lego box. That's number one suggestion from Jason Sisneros, GPT. Okay. Number two, know that there is a map to follow. Know that there is a map to follow. The 5%ers have left clues, right? There's two types of people that we serve. We serve business owners in that 33 million group. And we also serve business coaches that want to add business as a strategy, and consultants to get better at what they do, because I can't, and Anton J, my company, we cannot service 33 million businesses. So we now are empowering the business coaching community, the consulting community, to be able to learn things so that their clients, which are most of them are ending up in that 95% failure group, so that they survive and they get into the 5%, and that 5% becomes 6 and 7 and 8%. Really want to resource you all. I know a lot of people that are in that space follow me, and they unethically steal my shit, rebrand it, and act like it's their idea. I don't want you to unethically steal it anymore. I want you to ethically steal it. I want you to legitimately learn what I do, understand where it comes from, so that you can actually impact your clients at a higher level. Reach out if that's you. That's going to be part of the rebranding. We're going to be helping people do that in that space. Okay. So know that there's a map to follow. Number 3, create or invest in systems. Create or invest in systems. In other words, build a blueprint. My nickname, which, I used to giggle at it, but now I'm proud of it. My nickname is the architect. And it's because I know how to build blueprints. It's because I know how to take people's specific outcome. If I know 2 things, where are you and where do you want to go? If I know those 2 things, I can architect that journey for you, for any business, in any vertical, with any product. And that's where you want to get to. You want to create systems or buy them. You want to invest in them. And that's all built to exit. And the growth course that's what one of the things that I got chastised with was, Jason, stop calling the growth course a course. It's not a damn course. It's a system for people to follow. And so we changed the name, right? I had to make a decision if what I was calling it was the right thing to impact people to actually go through it. Again, there's tons of people that are here live with me that have gone through the growth course or worked through Anton J to get a deep dive or a turnaround or whatever it is. Plenty of people that know that what we teach is actually a system and not a course. So those are Jason Sisneros GPT. Clear, concise, precise, measurable outcome and destination. The picture's on the Lego box. Know that there's a map to follow. The 5 percenters have left it behind. Number 3, create or invest in systems. Make sure you have a blueprint that you're executing on every single day. Those 3 things, I believe, will reduce your decision-making fatigue because it paints the picture and it lets you know where to invest your energy. A long time ago, I came up with the concept that we're given 12 chits. I call them chits, but I don't know why I started calling them chits, but we're given 12 chits a day. And how and where you invest that time and that energy is the return you're going to get. Most of us are taking out of 12 chits that we have to spend every single day. We're throwing them away on anxiety. We're throwing them away on buying some bullshit program that promises you're going to be $10 million when your biggest year was 100,000. You're throwing them away at avoiding building processes. You're throwing it away on not understanding finance. You're throwing it away on Netflix. You're throwing it away on scrolling through Instagram, looking at other people's fake success, right? You're throwing it away. If you stack those every single morning and you know exactly where you're going to invest that time, and you know when you invest it, it's going to be a return on your clear and precise end game that you created for yourself, whatever that amount of money is, whatever that house is, whatever your retirement looks like, you're going to get there much, much faster. Not overnight, not in 150 days. It's going to take you 18 months for you to be able to get systems and processes to a place where you can exit your business at that second level, which is going from obligated to optional. It's going to take 18 months, period, end of sentence. It's going to take about 3 years if you're good and you follow a system day after day. It's going to take you about 3 years to a point where you can have total time control. And at that point in time, you now have something that is sellable through a couple of different opportunities, but it's sellable so that you can harvest your wealth. Minimum 3 years, minimum 18 months for you to get to a place where it's just optional, instead of you being obligated at being there. So that's decision-making fatigue. I'll let you guys give me your votes as to whether ChatGPT won today or Jason Sisneros GPT won today. But take those ideas, take these strategies, take these thought processes, and do what we do every single week that I suggest. Modify or change just one behavior. Take something that you pulled out of this podcast, apply it to your business, right? Apply it to your systems, apply it to your whatever, become part of the family by going to growthcourse.com only for the next couple of weeks, but growthcourse.com, get the system, the built to exit system all at once so that you can go through it all. It's 28 hours of content, y'all. Not easy. And it's not for the fakers and it's not for the people that are dabbling. It's for those of you that want to be in the 5%. That's what I do. That's what my courses do, or that's what my systems do. And that's what we do at Anton J. If you have a bigger company, reach out there as well. Okay. So bare minimum, built to exit.biz. Make sure you put your information in there. You'll get my show notes and the edited podcast where you get to see my lovely face. Every single week we send that out in the email. That group is growing. I appreciate it. I love that. We want to help. If you're part of that 33 million, you're my people. You are somebody that I want to go to battle with. Remember that you owning a business at all is a blatant act of rebellion, and you have a belligerent refusal to be controlled. I admire that about you. Find other people just like you to do business with. Stop giving your money away to unethical multinationals. Stop it. Find somebody local to you. Find somebody online that has a smaller entity. Support each other so that we can keep this dream alive for our children, for our grandchildren, so that we can keep economic freedom alive for the next generation, so that we don't become indentured slaves or indentured servants to a government or to multinationals that tell us what time we can go to bed, what time we can, when we can be sick, how much time we can spend with our family, what amount of money we can put in our bank account. They get to, I'm not going to ever live in a life. I'm going to die on my feet rather than live on my knees, just like you. And the best way that you can do that is get excellent, become a professional, and decide that you want to be a 5%er. I love you all very much. We're going to end the video portion of this and we're going to go into live Q&A. Please join us live. Amazing human beings, amazing businesses that you guys can do business with each other and continue this growth. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you so much. Welcome to the new people. Thank you to the people that have been here with me for a while and have been sharing this and trust me enough to be able to show this out to your employees or to your team, to your family, to your business, other people in the business community. Thank you for your trust. I want to make sure that I continue to earn that week after week, which is why I come here and give you the best that I've got to give. I love you all very much. Attack your decision-making fatigue this week. Give yourself some time to think. Give yourself some time to innovate. Put some distance between you and the wolves. I'm Jason Sisneros. I love you very much. Peace.